Hello, hello, and welcome to Tea Time. Good morning. How are you guys doing? Welcome. Hello. I hope everybody's doing well and looking forward to this conversation. This morning, I'm just a little groggy, just having my tea. Good morning. Good morning. It's tea time. The tea is absolutely necessary this morning. Can I tell you? I am in need of something warm. A warm cup of joy is what I call it. So, how have you guys been doing? Today, we are continuing our mid year reset. Last week, we did part one, and this week, we're doing part two. This week, we're going to be um, moving on from talking about connecting the dots. So, if you didn't see part one, you need to check out my YouTube video because on YouTube I have the part one of the series. But basically, it was just looking at how we can connect the dots backward. I was inspired by Steve Jobs's speech where he talked. It was a commencement address that he was giving to some graduates at a university, and he was talking about that, a lot of times we think about vision and we're thinking that we have to know everything, we have to know all the steps, we have to know exactly where we're going. And many times, especially nowadays when you're listening to the guru, different teachers that come on same platforms that I use, but a lot of times people talk about the vision for the future and think about the future, and there's almost no credit or no leveraging of what has happened in the past. And so for this media reset, I thought, you know what? Let's do something a little bit different. As people are resetting, as people are getting ready for the second half of the year and you want to boss it, and if you're going to boss the second half of the year, you kind of have to know the habits that you've been fostering, right? And so last week we talked about connecting the dots backward, just looking at looking at how you spent January to June, and then taking what you did from January to June to now use that as a way to make sure that you do better the second half of the year. And when I say do better, I mean if you're killing it with your money goals, like if you're killing it, then fine. Money, no, maybe you just keep doing what you're doing. But if you really suck at relationships and your love life pop down, and goal that you wanted the second half of the year to be where you focus on romance, because that's what you're heading into. You're heading into the seasons where having a partner is just all the things, right? So maybe that's what you're looking at doing for the second half of the year. Maybe you're like, I need to get my game up. Or it don't have to be a love relationship. It could just be relationships with your parents, relationships with your friends. It doesn't have to be a love relationship. It could be if you have kids, relationship with your kids. Maybe you really suck at that right now. And even though you had set some intentions for the beginning of the year, you're like, yes, this year I'm going to better, this year I'm going to mend that relationship, or this year I'm going to start a relationship, whatever. You know what your dream it was when you start January. And you're at June, or yeah, you're at June. June is about to switch into July come next week. Now is the time to look back and say, yes, this is what I did that helped me, that hurt me, that I can't use. And then this week now, so that was last week. This week now, what we're going to do is we're going to literally set up the strategy so that the second half of the year can be great, like make the year great again. That's what we're up to. So for me, I would say that there are things that I didn't do great at in the first quarter. I mean, I'm doing a lot of things. I think I spent a lot of time trying to figure things out. And don't discount figuring things out, guys, because we live in a world now where you feel like you have to just be moving, and you have to know everything that you're doing. Or TikTok is there. My TikTokers, TikTok is there. So if you don't know it, you can find it on TikTok, when we know that TikTok, some of it is fake news. So you have to be really careful not to discount the lessons that you've learned, and being able to use them. And that's the gap. Sometimes you don't know how to use the lessons that are there. First of all, you don't even know how to look for the lessons that you know. that are supposed to help you. And that's ultimately what life is. I think I saw a post from Oprah from her podcast. I can't remember the exact words, but it was just talking about the evolution of life is there to help you live life more fully. The things that you run into, the problems that you experience, it's meant to help you live life more fully. So that's what we're going to do today. If you don't have your tea or your coffee, or maybe, if you're not in Jamaica, it's like 5 to 9. If you're in the States, it's almost 10 o'clock. Maybe you've already had your first coffee. I don't know. But grab your tea because we're getting ready to have this conversation how to use the first part of the year and the lessons from that to make the second part just killer. Like, why would you want to do anything less? It's available to you. Okay. So that's what we're doing. We're focusing on what's available and how we do that. So we're going to set an intention. I'm going to pull an intention card, and then we're going to use that to guide what we're doing, how we're thinking about the year ahead, the mindset that we need to have going into that second half of the year. Let's see if I like this card. Oh, this is a good one. I am my true essence. I am my true essence. What does this mean? The affirmation at the bottom explains a little bit. So the affirmation says, I yield to the universal essence that dwells deep within me and allow this to guide my thoughts, words, and actions. And we all know that thoughts, words, and actions are where we tend to mess up between having the vision and having the actual thing in reality, right? So this morning we're going to talk about yielding to that universal, the voice that's basically within you that literally tells you what you need to do, identifies the ways that you've learned, and tries to help you to plot the path. All right. So first things first, we want to understand that there's 3 core lessons that I'm going to take you through today. 3 of the things that may be considered secrets, but they're really not because they're fully available to you right now. The first thing is when you're looking back, you're not looking back to get stuck in stupid or stuck in what didn't work. You're letting that reflection work refine the direction that you're taking. So the reflection work that we talked about, connecting the dots backward, looking from January to June, that reflection is for refinement. It's not for beating yourself up. It's not for using it to train thoughts about what isn't working for you and why you can't get it right. It's basically to make sure that you understand how to leverage the things that are there that didn't work. So let's talk about when you see things in your past, right? And you decide to keep doing it. We were talking about one of the things that I was listening to on the Oprah podcast the other day. One of the things that she's been quoted as saying is, whatever you're not changing, you're choosing. Whatever you're not changing, you're choosing. So it's either change or stick with it. And if you're sticking with it, that means you're choosing to stick with it. A lot of times we excuse ourselves. We talk about, yeah, but this is the situation and I can't help myself, etc., etc. Like, what examples in your life right now? What examples in your life right now can you pick on that say, I'm choosing this, right? What are you choosing? You may look back if you're trying to earn more money, right? Uh, Maybe you started 2025 saying, this is the year that, like me, I'm prioritizing my health, right? That's what I'm prioritizing. And June reach, and if I had not chosen a workout plan, if I had not chosen a workout path, now I'll be honest, guys, I'm not here in the gym killing it. Like, I'm not doing this forever buff girl and gym body and posing up on. I'm not doing that. That's not my style. I don't like the gym. I'm not trying to like the gym. But I found that there are things about my health journey that I can change. For example, I love Pilates. I love yoga. I've been doing yoga since 1992. So I've always done something, right? But yoga wasn't building my muscles, even though it was keeping me flexible and helping me to work my joints. It wasn't building muscle and helping me to get that strength going. And so enter Pilates, and I've dabbled in Pilates here and there, but let me tell you, since this year, I've paid for classes, multiple classes, and I'm being intentional. Now, let's say, for example, I had chosen health as a focus. And like in previous years, which literally, guys, I choose health as a focus, physical health as a focus all the time. And then I would just not exercise. Like literally, I won't even sign up for something. I won't spend any money. I won't commit to anyone or anything. That's me choosing to not be physically at the place I wanted to be. So that's what I mean when I say what you're not changing, you're choosing. So this year, I decided that I was going to choose something else. I'm going to prioritize it. If you're doing so, if you picked a goal at the beginning of the year and you're now in the middle of the year, and it's like, oh my gosh, we're in the middle of the year and you're not seeing the thing, start to ask yourself some quick questions. What is it getting in the way of me doing this thing? Right? Maybe it is that you started, but you never start, you never finish, right? So what got in the way of that? And maybe you made some progress. How did you make progress? So don't just discount it, don't just discard it. Don't discount and discard the things that don't work. Just use them as a clue. So possibly it's not a priority for you right now, even though health is always a priority, because if you're not healthy, then you're not able to make the vessel that is carrying you around and allowing you to enjoy the wealth and the love and the career. If it's not healthy, it can't carry you around, right? So think about what actually worked, even if it was in a small way, and think about what got in the way. Can I remove those blocks? Or is this really a priority at all? Is this something that I'm going to prioritize right now? Look at the things that you said you were going to do. Look at that list of goals, guys. Look at it and get familiar with what just fell under the radar, maybe. Maybe it's just like, boy, I didn't even remember that I set this goal. Some of you don't even remember what you wrote down in January that you want to create. So before you start to get into the heavy planning and okay, Stacey, I'm ready to reset and we're going to make the second part of the year just the best part. Before you run into that and start to write down all of the things that you're going to do, or even skip the writing it down, right? Just reflect. Some goals, you can throw them out. They may not really deserve your attention. There may be something more important on there that deserves your attention. Like I had to make a really tough choice about something in my business this week. It's like I realized that when I look at the first half of the year and I saw how much travel I was doing, and it's like, oh, there's just a lot of moving parts. And when I travel and I am in the experience of the travel, I still have clients that I have to serve. I still have a team now that I'm nurturing, right? So I'm building this company, and I'm looking back at the first half of the year and I'm like, boy, whenever I travel, it's always like a catch up. I play catch up when I get back to home and have to start now having my meetings or getting things done. It really is like a stretch. I literally had to tell my assistant yesterday, like, just block the day before when I come back from wherever, even if I didn't travel across the world, like an 8-hour trip to Europe or Dubai or whatever. The next when I come back, just block that day. I need to think. I don't want no meetings. Because when I'm in meetings, I have to kind of reset myself every time I come out of a meeting. So I realized that. So I was like, I have to block it. And then the tough decision was actually taking something out of the second half of my year that I know was going to make me money. I know it was going to make me money, right? But I have to move it because I can't I can't do the things that stress me out in the first part of the year, in the second part of the year. So in this instance, I am choosing my health over choosing to do work that is going to create additional time, and it's going to take energy from me, it's going to take energy from my team. I'm choosing instead to focus. Whatever you're not changing, you're choosing. As you go into the second half of your year, if you're trying to achieve these goals, see what you need to choose for yourself in order to feel good about what you have done when you get to the end of the year. So review your January to June intentions, review your goals, your dreams, whatever you wrote down. Circle what still lights you up, circle what makes you feel good inside, and cross out the things that feel forced. Cross out the things that you don't have energetic alignment with, guys, because it may get you money, but it may pop down. And who's about that life? I love a good cup of chai. Oh my gosh. Okay. So that's the first lesson. Let reflection refine your direction. Now, the second thing that you're going to do is you're going to use proof to anchor your power. So proof equals power. And that's what I want the second thing that resonates with you guys to be, right? Now, what your mind conceives and believes it can achieve. Conceive it, believe it, achieve it. Very simple. You don't need to look for more inspiration, even though I hope you do tune into my TikTok and my tea time so you can get some inspiration. But you don't need more inspiration. You actually need to get reminders from reflecting that you've already done hard things. You've already won the battle, so to speak. You don't need to try to figure out if you can figure it out. You already figured stuff out. So because you already did hard things, if you have arrived anywhere in life, and the people that listen to me are typically Gen Zers, well, usually in their late 20s or early 20s, Gen Zers up, right? So if you've already done some tough stuff, you're 17, you're 18 years old, and you passed the exam, battled the illness. Maybe you started a business. Maybe you tackled a difficult parenting relationship, right? You've already done something hard in your life. It don't matter how young you are. You've done something young. And now you can use those reminders to move you forward, because if you can believe in yourself for what you already achieved, maybe what you're looking at in front of you to say, yeah, I want to be the boss of this by the time I get to the end of the year. Unsure because this is new, you never do it before. It's not about getting inspired. You can inspired all day. You have to believe that you can do it. And first of all, you wouldn't get the idea if you could not actually execute on it. Ideas don't come to people to execute unless there is actually a path for that execution. And that is where your power lies. You have proof from your past that you can fulfill your purpose. And that is your power. I'm using all the P, guys. You see that? Did you see how I did that just now? But seriously, the past has all the proof you need. Even though I am highly recommending that you listen to the Oprahs and the Napoleon Hills and the Neville Goddards and the Stacey Hineses of the world, you already have all the proof that you need, that you can tackle tough things. You can tackle tough things. And you have had an idea before. I executed on that idea. So what you're going to do, because you need to sometimes jog the memory, is you're going to list 3 moments this year when you showed up bigger than you thought possible, when you showed up better than you thought possible, when you showed up better than they thought possible. How about that? Sometimes we get stuck because we are like worried about how people are going to, perceive what we're doing. But look back in your life at when you were worried about what people would think and you astounded them. Write that moment down. Let those things be your receipts that you can start to use and put in your purpose bank account for the way forward. Because so many times we sit here and we're just bemoaning the past, bemoaning the mess ups. And I know I'm not preaching to the choir, because I do it sometimes. I look back at things that have happened and I will find myself stuck in stupid, talking about all that I didn't do well. And oh my God, I can't believe I embarrassed myself like that. I mean, just yesterday, guys, I'm full of embarrassing moments. Like, can I tell you, I make mistakes all the time. I make mistakes all the time. And yet still, I'm doing very well financially. I'm building a company. I'm about to spin out a second company, right? I work with C-suite executive leaders, CEOs, government ministers. Like, I'm doing the do. I'm enjoying my parenting relationship. My kids are happy and thriving. They're doing well. I'm loved out. Like, I'm doing, and can I just tell you, almost daily, I knock my head against the wall, like, girl, so the mess up, the mistake, the way you make. I mean, I'm constantly making mistakes. So the mistake I made yesterday, and this is where the traveling thing came from, guys. Total embarrassment. I have a new client, and I'm really excited about my new client. My new client is the best. Okay. They're amazing. Amazing. And they're in another time zone. So I had a meeting with them, and the meeting that I had with them should have been set in my calendar as 9 a.m. Jamaica time, because that's where I presently am. Some mistake happened, and their meeting ended up in my calendar for the time that they are on, not the time that I am on. Now, please to keep in mind, this is my most important, very special client that I'm excited about. Them new, them crisp, them just land, them amazing client. Okay. So imagine now when me and my assistant work on my schedule and we put something in that 9 a.m. slot where my new, beautiful, wonderful client is supposed to be. So we put something in that meeting slot. And Stacey said, you know what, since I have this meeting before my client meeting, I'm going to make sure I'm ready for my client meeting, because I don't want to have to be rushing to get my deck ready and all of that. So I actually prepped for my client meeting, and then I prepped for this 9 a.m. meeting. I step into my 9 a.m. early. I got there at 10 to 9, and I'm working, getting myself going, all pumped up. People start to arrive. These are like leaders in an organization that I'm meeting with. It's not like I'm meeting with my team. I'm meeting with leaders in an organization that I'm also working with. Just start work with them too. Okay? And I'm like, hi guys, yes, it's great. And then guess what started to happen? People, the phone start to blow up. My new favorite client is calling me. I saw the messages are coming in, but I was like, oh, maybe they're messaging me about later. Rated message are coming and flying. I'm like, what is happening? When I see the third coming, I was like, no. So I turned off my, because I was early, remember. I turned off my camera. This is now 9 o'clock. And when I go and I look, are you joining us? We're waiting for you. My client is calling me to tell me that my meeting that I was prepping for is happening right now, when I'm in another meeting with a bunch of leaders. Can I tell you, when the pressure reached my head, because I was just so traumatized. And I looked at the calendar, I was like, how could I have made this mistake? It's literally just the time zone change. And because I had been traveling, I was actually in my client's time zone before I came back. So there was no part of me that thought this was an error. And I had a presentation to make. There were going to be 30 people in this meeting with my client. I had to come on and shock and wow, I wasn't just coming on. A good thing I did bid. Because I'm put on like a fresh up. So I had to apologize to the people in the meeting I was with. tell them how sorry I was. I had to leave that meeting and then jump into my client meeting. I got there at 9:03 and I did the dance. And I mean, when my presentation came around, it went really, really well. And I got another opportunity coming out of the meeting, which is great. But I still have to go back and clean up. I have to go back and clean up with those other leaders that I had the other meeting with. I have to clean it up. You understand? So that was a big mistake. It's a public mistake. It's a visible mistake. And sometimes when we are looking back, we spend so much time in the mess of the mistake that we don't use it to move us forward. And that's what I'm saying that you guys have to do. When you're looking at January through June, don't stay in the mess of the mistakes. Use that proof of what doesn't work to do something different for the second half of the year. Right? You don't need more inspiration. You have what you need already. And even though that moment was not a great moment, I can actually still use it to show, to say how I showed up bigger than I thought possible. Because honestly, guys, I mean, the fact that I was able to get my composure and go into this new client meeting and present to those 30 people in a way that was centered and not flustered, when I was actually feeling very flustered, feeling a lot of embarrassment from what was happening with the other persons, I was able to pull it together. So that is a lesson for me to say, you can do it, right? You can do it. Even if you mess up, you can take the mess and turn it into movement. And guys, if I can do it, I'm pretty sure, I'm very confident that if you get out of your heads, you can do it too. Okay? So that's your second lesson, which is to use proof. Use the proof from your past to show you that you can live on your purpose. You can stand in your power and be purposeful with your action. Now, the third and final point, before I wrap up with y'all this week, because I know I got to go grocery shopping just like y'all. I got to go to the grocery store. Strategy loves specificity. What does that mean, Stacey? Why are you talking gibberish? Okay, so when you come now and you decide that I want the second half of my year to be spectacular, you're going to come up with a plan. And that's what a strategy is. Plan equals strategy, strategy equals plan. Okay? So when you're coming up with this plan, you want to be as specific as possible, especially when you already kind of have a verified vision, because that's the whole reason we're doing this reset. You already know what works. You already have a sense of what you can do to create an amazing shift, right? You already know what you can do to create an amazing shift. I'm just taking a picture of my screen over on TikTok, guys, because somebody sent me something, right? So you know what you can do. So instead of deciding some hairy fairy, oh, I still want to make more money in the second half. I still want to make more money. I didn't make what I thought I was going to make. I want to make more money. No. Get some structure to your vision. Get a number out there. Write it down. Sometimes we're afraid of writing down that number because it feels too big and our insides feel like, and we find ourselves making excuses for the number. How are you going to make excuse for a number that you're dreaming about? Stop it. Just pick the number. Okay? It's all in your head anyway. Just pick a number. Right? And then you're going to be loyal to whatever it is you put. And when I say loyal, I'm talking about the faith or the belief that you have is going to be loyal to this thing that you have not yet seen. Right? You have to put some structure to your vision. Because if you don't have that structure, then your strategy is literally just, some airy fairy tale. So we talk about the four corners of life on Tea Time, right? Let me remind you, the four corners of life that we focus on: health and wellness. So that's inner wealth, outer wealth, so body set and the inside set. We focus on career, self-expression. So whatever you're doing for your job, if you're building a business like me, entrepreneurship, writing a book, whatever is in your career and self-expression space. We focus on love and relationships. Yes, your happy place. And then we focus on the money, the bling bling, the wealth building. Four corners of life where most people set their dreams. So when you look at your categories and you're thinking about what you want to do for the second term, first things first, make sure that whatever you're choosing feels good. When you're choosing something, make sure that it feels good, right? And think about, well, I feel good about this line item, so this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. Pick pick something that you're going to do, and then after you've chosen what you're going to do, you are going to now start to pick the steps. So don't use these lessons that you got from your past and just put something against the wall. I don't, even if you have a vision board, whether it's a digital vision board or whatever else, when you pick something, yeah, when you pick something, you want to make sure that you put purpose behind it. That's another way to look at your strategy. Purposeful action. When you choose a dream, that's what you're going to put behind it, is some purposeful action. And you're going to write down the actions that you're going to take. I just want you to be clear. So after you done do the reflection and you refine, you see the things that you can throw away, you're not choosing those things anymore, and you see what didn't work and la la la. Right? After you do that, and then you take the time to actually know, see what worked. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to build some momentum because I definitely have the proof that I can get past things that did not work for me, or proof that I can actually create amazing things. I can achieve what I'm going to do. You have that proof. Now it's time to really get clear on not just the big dream, but the more specific thing that you're going to create. So your strategy has to match where you are presently. So if you started at the beginning of the year and you're like, yes, 1 million, that's what I'm doing, whether it's €1 million, $1 million, whatever your U is, right? I'm doing that. I'm doing 1 million this year. And you get to June and you realize that you have not gotten any of the steps in place to make that million, or you did not stop buying the things you said you were going to stop buying so that you could stop wasting money, right? So you have to start looking at, all right, what worked, what didn't work, is it really going to be 1 million? And if it's going to be 1 million, what do I actually have to do? Step one. Okay. Same thing if you have a business and maybe your old goal, maybe the old goal at the beginning of the year was, yeah, I'm going to grow my brand. I'm going to be an influencer, and I'm going to do all of these things on social media. And you're here at middle of the year, June, July, and you realize, I have not been on TikTok, I have not been on Instagram, I have not been growing anything. Now get a little bit more specific, because you realize that just saying you're going to become an influencer and you have pictures of the people that inspire you has not gotten you into motion. Maybe it is just, you know what, by the end of the year, I'm going to make sure that I have consistently posted every week for the next 20 weeks. Right? Maybe that's all it is. And so step one is get a post for this week. Ta-da! You're making progress already. Okay? But you have to kind of help yourself along the path. Don't set up yourself to fail a second time around. Maybe you had this wellness goal, get fit or get the summer body, and it's summer right now and the body ain't bodying. Maybe that was the goal. Instead, you want to now talk about, well, when did I feel my best during the first half of the year? I felt my best when I walked. I didn't make it into the gym, but I really enjoyed walking. So maybe what I'm going to commit to for the second half of the year is to do more purposeful walking. Maybe I'll get some light weights and I'll carry the weights when I'm walking. So I'm going to commit to walking 3 times a week so that I can boost my energy and get more consistent with some form of working out. Maybe that's the goal instead of I'm going to get the summer body. Well, you'd be thinking about next year anyway. All right. So we're moving from make more money or make the millions to get more specific, because you realize that your financial peace, right? Like having that sense of mind that is, I'm not broke, matters more than just the money. So now you're going to be more specific and you're going to take specific actions. So you're going to say, I'm going to consistently save some money instead. Over the next 90 days, I want to make sure that I'm putting $1,000 in my bank account every week. Like, get practical with yourself while still honoring the dream that you have. Okay? So now, guys, we're going to wrap things up nicely. Last week, we would have talked about connecting the dots backwards so that you can help yourself as you are thinking about the future. And I'm not talking the distant future, I'm talking about the second half of the year, right? You recognize that the things that may have happened in your past, that these dots are for your purpose. They are the divine dots, right? Every no is actually helping you to be redirected towards the right yes, right? So you recognize that there are pictures that you could have parts of the puzzle that you filled in January to June. You recognize that. And so you're starting to now release the thoughts that, because I didn't make it by June, I can't make it for the end of the year. So in that first part of the series, we talked about connecting those dots backward, being able to discern what mattered the most so far in the year, observe how far you've actually come and what didn't work for you, and trust the process. Trust that you're right where you need to be, you're not behind, and that you can still create the dream a year that you wanted by the end of the year. Okay, so that's what we did first. That's what we did last week. Now, this week, what you're going to start doing, because we're moving forward, we're in the middle of the year, you have some time, you have 5-6 months to get it together, right? So you're now going to use those lessons and you're going to reflect on them to refine the path forward. And it's not some lazy thing where you come here and you listen to me and then you don't do something. You have to sit down and you have to make some notes. I like to write with I like to write. Maybe you like to type, but you need to write it down somewhere. If you have a girlfriend group, get some accountability partners. Say, ladies, guess what? This is what I'm doing for the second half of the year. If you have your guy group, although I don't know that guys have groups so much, but maybe you have your best guy friend. Just sit down with him and hold a reason and say, look, the first part of the year now, the money thing never work out, or the wife both leave me because we never set the goals them right. But the second half of the year, I want to make sure so we end the year good. Whatever your goal is, get somebody to support you in it as a way of moving that forward. Whatever you're not changing, you're choosing. So you want to refine from the reflection and decide what you're letting go of. And then the next piece now, use the proof that you have from the dot connecting to anchor your power, to anchor your purpose, and know that you can achieve because you've achieved in the past. And then last but not least, we talked about that bit about strategy loves specificity. So make sure that you are clear about what you're doing with the second half of your year. There is no time for highfalutin dreaming, guys. You're trying to get something going by the end of the year. So be specific. If things did not work, then guess what? Dress it up a little bit. If it's something that you no longer want, you dash it away. If it's something that you still want, dress it up. Fix up what you know will work for you going forward. All right. And so I'm going to give you an acronym to help you. And this is all about the view for the way forward, because you have a verified vision now. You have no excuses. You have a verified vision. What that means is you have seen from the first half of the year what's working, what's not working. Now that you've verified that, use those tools to propel you forward. Use it to help you keep focus, keep a view of what you are going to do going forward. So use your verified vision to create intentional action. And as you're moving along the path, energy check yourself. And then make sure you remind yourself that you are worthy of whatever you are creating. So that's your view. V, verified vision. I, intentional action. E, energy check. And then your worthiness reminder. So use these tools that I've given you guys and propel yourself forward. The commitment that I am making is that over the next couple of weeks in July, I'm going to make sure to post the reminders from last week and this week. I'm going to post those reminders between my TikTok and my YouTube. All right? Because my verified vision about what worked and didn't work for me that I'm leaning into is I really enjoyed building my audience and my community, but it takes consistently putting out the clips from these posts. You guys love when I send out these clips to remind you of what you're doing. So that's what I'm going to be focused on. And since y'all watching me, you can definitely call me out when I'm not posting. Okay. So tea time posts are what I'm making sure that I start putting back out there because, you know, you guys are my people and it helps me. When I see the reminders come up, they help me to remember. So I'm going to help with the verified vision for myself is that I'm still consistent with my posting and that my social media and my engagement with my community is back on. Because with the traveling, we just kind of drop off. So I'm going to learn the lesson. I figured it out. Know what to do. Okay? So go figure your stuff out. Enjoy your Saturday. Thanks so much for joining, everybody. My YouTube family, thank you so much for joining. I'll see you next week on another tea time. Bye. Take care. Bye, guys. Over.